you guys for hopping on tonight for our Adoption 101 Zoom. We're really excited that you're joining. Allie Raftery and I are both on here. I'm Winnie Morgan Nemeth. I'm the Standardbred Program Director for New Vocations, and I will let Allie introduce herself real fast.
Yes, I am the Adoption Relations Manager.
So yeah, we're super excited to be on, and hopefully can give you all some information to help if you're wanting to adopt a horse from New Vocations, or if you have questions. There is a chat box. You can put your questions in while we're going, and I know people will be getting on as we get started. So I'm going to start, and then just wanted to go over how does New Vocations get our horses. So we are a 501c3 charity. We're the largest racehorse adoption program in the nation. We take retiring thoroughbreds and standardbreds coming off the track. So the horses that are coming into our programs and into our farms are horses that have recently retired from the track. And we have been doing that for over 30 years. And we have found that by getting horses from the racetrack, we get so much more information because we've worked with trainers and owners for many, many years. And our model has worked very well with getting them directly off the track versus other organizations that might get them a few years after retirement or possibly from a sale or something like that. That's just not the model that New Vocations uses, and but ours are coming directly off the racetrack.
So I'll kind of walk through the adoption process from firstly, like how you find everything on our website. So if you'd see just newvocations.org, that will pull up kind of a tab underneath, and you would select the Adopt tab, the one that has the red arrow pointed to it. And from there, as of April, this past April, we had a new feature roll out of submitting a questionnaire before submitting an application. So that would be the first button under step number 1, is to fill out a questionnaire, which those questions will be viewed here in a second. But that is the newest thing. The step number 1 is to fill out your questionnaire as a pre-screening. And then from there, I would be in touch with you, usually same day, to either have a further conversation or to send you the link to the application directly. And to briefly touch on the questionnaire, the questions are up, but just wanted to touch on them and kind of explain why we chose the questions the way that we did. So we have a few requirements, which is also found on our adoption tab on the website. But those are just kind of, again, in guidelines with our requirements, just kind of clicking yes or no on most of the questions. So first one, if you're previously approved, you would just email myself directly. So you can skip all the other questions below. My email address is listed. So just shoot me an email, and from there, I can send you the application link directly. And then the next question, if you are under 21, to please list a legal guardian. That is just to ensure that parents or a legal guardian of some form is okay with the adoption of one of our horses, and also to kind of further a conversation on how old the primary rider would be, because we typically do not adopt our horses out to children riders. Very, very specific cases we would, but for the most part, we would not. So again, that question isn't a hard no, but one that would open up further communication to see kind of what the situation would be if you were to adopt. And then your email, state, number, all the ways we can just get in touch with you. We do have the net income given kind of ranges, so it's not so personal. I know that can be kind of an uncomfortable question, but again, just questions that we would open up further communication if needed. And then if you scroll down a little bit on the other questions, have you leased or owned? Yes or no. Same thing with having experience, working with a trainer. Again, any of those aren't a hard no. If you do select no, it would just more than likely warrant a conversation from myself to kind of set expectations on what you're looking for and a little bit more about your background. And then a big thing that would kind of put an application on a big hold would be the veterinarian visiting your intended facility within the last year. So if you were to select no, I would reach out and just tell you that we need that kind of solidified veterinary relationship before submitting an application, only to help expedite the application process once it is submitted, because we do require a reference form from your veterinarian within the last year. So that is a big one that you want to have in line before submitting an application. And then lastly, the fencing. Again, if any of those can warrant a conversation, I might ask for pictures before the application. but any just clicking any of the fences, that would be where your horse would be boarded. So there's a screenshot of the requirements, again, kind of in line with the questionnaire of being 21, again, the salary requirements, and then with the state of where you would list only to the 48 contiguous states. And then again, everything else is something that we would open up that line of communication, just kind of in help with the questionnaire, not instead of a hard no, but wanting to understand the applicants a little bit better. So again, all of those, the biggest one at the bottom though, again, is your veterinary reference form. That is a lot of the times the big holdup on applications. So that is the biggest thing to have in line. Let your vet know or the facility veterinarian know that I would be reaching out with that reference form. And then some more requirements, the facility. Again, this is potentially a big one. If you are boarding at a private facility, there must be 1 acre per horse. And then if it's at a boarding facility, just half an acre. So a big difference there. So private facility would be your own home. And again, exceptions may be made by a case-by-case basis. I know some states turnout is a little bit different depending on if you're south in the west. So things like that can be taken into consideration. Same thing with stall size. Those are things that if it's not clear on paper, we can always ask for pictures for some clarification as well. A big thing is that they must have access to a shelter at all times, especially based on location. So no problem if the horse is in 24/7 turnout, but must have access to either a run-in, a stall, things of that sort, any type of shelter from the weather. And then fencing is another big one. So at least 2 rails high, and then very visible, highly visible fencing, always strongly recommended, and it must be coated as well. So, and then with that, 3 strands of that type of fencing, and barbed wire, only 1 strand is allowed at the top. If it is just strict barbed wire, unfortunately, that would not be accepted, simply because our horses are really new to turnout and oftentimes take advantage of having that freedom of being outside. So see a lot of times horses not respecting our fencing, even at our facilities where the horses come in. So that's something that we are pretty strict about just for the safety and wellness of the horse.
So our after adoption requirements would be, so once you've picked out a horse, you've adopted the horse, we require a contract that you will sign. For thoroughbreds, it's a 12-month contract, and we require a 3, 6, and 12-month update. And then for standardbreds, it's a 2-year contract, and we require a 3, 6, 12, and 24-month update. We have 1 full-time employee, Miranda, who is our updates manager and does a great job of making sure that you get reminders of when your updates are due. And also you can do that through the website. But it's what we do is we connect the adopter with the former owner or the donor. And that way they can see what their horses are doing after racing. And of course, it's great if the 2 of you all can connect. A lot of times they can share some past history or win photos or baby pictures of your new horse. And owners love to be able to connect with adopters and vice versa. So those requirements are photographs. So do we have any questions? One of the questions that we did get on our last Zoom that we did was a hauling question. So for instance, you've picked out a horse, you've connected with a trainer, you decided on the horse you're going to adopt, but you may not have your own truck and trailer. We do have a list of haulers on our website that we use often. And a lot of times the trainer that you're working with directly can give you some ideas. We do require that the horses are picked up within 7 days of being adopted. But we do have good connections with shippers that are going all over the country. So that usually gets done pretty quickly.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sometimes my headphones don't work. I did have a question. We are currently boarding our horses, and we're looking at possibly getting a new vocations horse in the future. Our facility currently has, it's like a twisted double wire, kind of like it would be high tensile, but it's twisted. And they've got 4 strands of it, and then they've got electric wire on the inside, so the horses can't actually touch it. Would something like that be considered unacceptable? Or would that be a case by case, take pictures, send it to you, see what you think kind of thing?
I would say it's always best to send pictures. So in that case, if you're planning on adopting, I would just reach out to myself via email and just kind of explain the situation and that you are planning to adopt. But you're more than welcome to clarify any types of those things and send pictures before submitting an application because it is lengthy and there is a $25 fee. So case like that, I would definitely go off of pictures. But yeah, wouldn't rule it out until we could see it. So if that is a case, you're more than welcome to reach out via email.
Wonderful. I think you had said that your email was available, but I missed it to begin with. Can I be able to get that really quick? I just got to find a pen.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know when you're ready.
All right, 1 second.
Oh, thank you, Allie. Other Allie put it in the chat box.
Perfect.
If you're able to see that.
I am. So it was Allie at horseadoption.com, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right.
Yep.
We have
Good
lots
question. Thank you.
Yeah, and we have lots of experiences with horses of all kinds that have never gotten an off the track thoroughbred. So is that kind of does that put a big pause on it as well?
No, not necessarily. So again, we'd ask you a little bit more about your background in terms of ages and breeds that you have worked with. And if you'd be working with a trainer, things of that sort, but definitely not a hard ruling out. Again, just setting expectations on what you're looking for and what our horses are when they come to our program.
Wonderful. Okay, well, if we have any questions, we'll maybe just send you guys an email and send some pictures along with it. So
that would be great. Yep, I'll keep an eye out.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any other questions we could answer? If you don't want to physically ask, you can just type it in the chat box. Allie will see it. I will see it. Because the fencing is always a good question we get a lot of. And one of the reasons why we're so particular on the fencing is that our horses are just so new to being turned out, one with other horses and being turned out in general. So we're trying to keep everyone safe, keep the horses safe, keep your property safe, because it is a transition. Our horses are definitely transitioning directly from the track when they come to us, and they're still transitioning, you know, sometimes a year after the track. So it takes a little bit of time.
And something I did not touch on with the questionnaire, the reason why we ruled or started implementing the questionnaire is in hopes to expedite the application process. Prior to the questionnaire coming out, we would say it would take about 2 weeks. But we found that kind of opening that line of communication, one helps, again, kind of streamline that we are serious about reaching out to your vet and your references. So the applicant will hopefully give them a heads up that we'll be reaching out. So it expedites it in that way. And then also, again, just kind of having that line of communication is great as well. So we found that with the questionnaire, the average time for an application would be about 5 days, which is great to cut that time down. So that was the main reason behind the questionnaire, is just that pre-screening to one, kind of see the serious applicants and then just get a better understanding of expectations on both sides of things.
So we have a question in the chat, and it says, as a first-time horse owner, lots of riding and horse care experience, what do you look for with trainer-adopter relationship? So typically we do not adopt to first-time horse owners, again, just because our horses have always been handled by professionals, but we do handle that case by case because we do know people have grown up around horses and worked with horses and ridden horses and maybe never had the chance to actually own a horse. If you've leased a horse for at least a year, that would check that box. But Catherine, we can definitely, look into that. But as in terms of your relationship with a trainer, this is where it's going to be really important. So you might have your trainer actually transitioning the horse. So maybe the horse would be getting adopted from New Vocations and then going into training. Because again, they're very green when they leave us. I mean, they're green when they come in and they're green when they leave us as well. So you might have the horse in training. You might be taking lessons weekly with that trainer, but under the trainer's care. So the trainer's caring for the horse and all of that. Really depends. Sometimes for our first-time horse owners, if they're not quite ready or experienced for a thoroughbred, but they do have the experience to adopt from New Vocations, possibly a standardbred is a good option. I definitely know that that's not for everyone. So not trying to push that, but that is something that sometimes we transition people to that way as well. And then if you just haven't owned and it doesn't look like you have the experience, we ask that you try to lease a thoroughbred or a chance that you could actually get more experience around the breed. And then circle back with us in like 6 months to a year, and then we can reevaluate your application that way. Allie, I don't know if you want to add any more.
No, I think would completely agree.
That's a great question.
Absolutely.
I know one thing that I was just going to cover too. A lot of times people will see on our social media a horse go up and they're interested right away. And you can always send information and contact the trainer that has that horse. But it's always best if you're an approved adopter already to let the trainer know that you're approved, because they could talk to you for hours about the horse and you may not get approved when there's a whole line of other approved adopters ahead of you. So we do require that you have an approved application to get a lot of information, like if you want to do a pre-purchase or to get x-rays or set up calls with the trainers or set up a FaceTime or even make an appointment to see the horse. You do have to be approved to do that. So it's always good to let the trainers know that you're approved, just because we do get so many inquiries. Our trainers can get over 100 emails on one horse on day one that horse is posted. So if you think you want to adopt, I always tell people to please get your application in like right away, because they're good for 2 years. And that gives you plenty of time to hopefully find a horse.
And with that being said, with the questionnaire, even if you submit the questionnaire and I do send you the link to the application, I would still submit it for the reasons that Winnie just said. So it is good for 2 years. So as opposed to waiting for a horse of interest to pop up and then submitting an application, there is so much interest in just one horse. So it's always best to have your application on file and ready to go. That way, when you have a horse of interest, you can immediately reach out to a trainer. So I would kind of knock those out in one foul swoop, the questionnaire and then the application.
And I know one of our trainers, a great adopter, Katie, just posted a great thing in the chat that I'd like to share. And her clients have adopted quite a few horses from us. But as a trainer, she's put 4 clients on New Vocations courses. And it is totally possible to bring along a young thoroughbred with a professional within the professionals program. And it can be a wonderful way to own a horse that you've helped bring along yourself, as well as very rewarding. The caveat would definitely be extensive prior experience, but as Katie has seen with her clients, it's worked really well. And again, that's where it's like a case by case. And if you have a great professional working with you, it can totally be done and be a win-win scenario for everyone.
And Katie, that's a great point about being approved in 2021 and then adopting Max later on. So case in point, to put your application in, and then this makes the process that much easier.
Definitely. Horses can go really, really fast by approved adopter. So if you're approved, it just makes it so much easier. Or you can go set your appointment to go see the horse, you know, that works out for your schedule. Is there anything else anybody would like to ask? Well, we thank you guys for being on. We appreciate it. If there's something that a question you might have, feel free to email Allie. I'm going to put my email here. I deal primarily with the standardbreds, but I'm happy to help. We have facilities in New York and Ohio for them, and we also have a matron of honors program, which is our broodmare, standardbred broodmare program, which is we place some really great older mares that way too. We have farms in Pennsylvania, Florida, New York, Ohio, and Kentucky and Louisiana for our thoroughbreds. So anyways, thank you guys for being on. We really appreciate it. And if you had any friends that might have missed it, it's going to be recorded and you can watch it at any time. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.